Hey, and welcome back to Shar's World Life Unfiltered, the podcast where we keep it all the way real about what it takes to make it through modern life without losing your mind or your budget. I'm your host, Shar, and today we're diving into something close to so many hearts: the joys of trying to survive on maternity pay, the not so living national minimum wage, and the universally confusing universal credit system. Now, don't worry, we're not here to drown in gloom. We're here to vent, connect, and maybe even laugh at the ridiculousness together. So, if you've ever wondered how anyone is meant to survive, let alone thrive, and what's being offered, you're not alone. Stick around, we've got real talk, some jaw dropping numbers, a little sass, and plenty of solidarity. Let's get into it. So, let's start with the magic that is maternity pay. And I say magic because within a click of your fingers, a blink of an eye, it disappears faster than a full night's sleep once the baby arrives. So here's the rundown. S&P, formerly known as statutory maternity pay, that normally gives you 90% of your average earnings, but only for 6 weeks. After that, it drops to a flat rate of just over £170 a week for the next 33 weeks. That's around £6,000 if you take the full leave for an entire year off with a newborn in this economy. Doesn't sound very fun. Now, let's be real. Nappies alone can cost between £40 to £50 a month. Formula, easily 60, if not maybe £80. Baby clothes, literally over £100. Energy bills from being home more. The money literally stretches thin. And many new moms feel pressured to return to work early, not because they want to, but because they have to. Bonding with your baby becomes a luxury. Resting and healing after birth, that's another luxury. Honestly, it feels like the system assumes there's a second salary in the house, but what if there isn't? Or what if you're a single parent? What if your partner's also struggling? I want to hear from you. Have you had to cut maternity leave short because of the money? Me, your story on Instagram at Char's World Life Unfiltered, and we'll share a few in the future episode. I mean, luckily for me, I was able to have the full year off, and that's because my partner was working. I've thankfully got a job before our daughter arrived, and it was fun. It was actually fun not being able to work for a whole year and being able to rest and actually spend time on Bond. Because initially I was only going to do 6 months based on circumstances, but being able to do a whole year, not everyone can do that. So I was very grateful that I was able to do that. And money wise, everything was actually okay. But I still, DM me a story on Instagram. I want to be able to hear other people who's been in the exact same situation, and we can always run this back again anyway. So while you're juggling night feeds and a budget spreadsheet, let's talk about the other paycheck that barely pays. I think we know what we're talking about. So let's talk about the so-called national minimum wage, which is now just over £11 an hour for over 21s. That sounds fine on paper, right? That is until you realise that even working full time and that wage leaves you with less than £1,900 a month before tax. And with rent, childcare, groceries, transport, bills, all ballooning, that doesn't actually go very far. So let's play a little game. What can £10 get you right now? A single pack of nappies? Maybe half a bottle of cow, bus rides and chicken and chips? Bag of fruit if you squint? It's not a lot. And it's actually crazy that while the prices are going up, our wages have barely shifted. And let's not get me started on jobs that expect work, that basically expect more work for less pay under this thing of team spirit. Please. Team spirit doesn't even pay the electric bill. But hey, let's just do team spirit, shall we? And when you're on minimum wage and trying to support a family, that is literally not a wage. It's literally survival mode. Like where I'm currently working, we are just above national minimum wage. We was told that we should be grateful that we're being paid a little bit more than national minimum wage. We had a pay increase of 9p. What is that? That is absolutely nothing. And it's exactly what I said. I want us to do more responsibilities for less pay. And this is why people end up leaving and chopping and changing their jobs because it's just not right whatsoever. And this is why a lot of people try and do their own businesses to work for themselves. And I actually don't blame them. I am one of those people that literally just trying to survive in this world is not easy at all. But I want you to tell me what is the most ridiculous thing you've had to budget or sacrifice to stay afloat. I, the other day, did some DIY eyebrows. I used hair removal cream and just placed underneath, like, your outgrown hairs, left on for about 10 minutes. I should have maybe left on a bit longer, wiped it off, used a razor and some tweezers, and my eyebrows were absolutely fine. Absolutely immaculate. And I'm now buying as and when I need. Instead of bulk shopping, I'm just doing like a little mini weekly shop um every now and again just to kind of keep the money going and trying to make it last longer. The usual surviving paycheck to paycheck. Nobody should have to live like that at all. Like, but hey, national minimum wage, so we're meant to be able to live off, but we actually can't. That's when you think it can't get more complicated. Here comes universal credit. Universal credit, the system that promises nothing but a simple process and support, actually sometimes doesn't deliver any of them. Universal credit is meant to top up your income if you're working but on low wages, or support you while you're not working. But the reality, it's often slow, confusing, and unpredictable. And I'll be sharing you a story very shortly. One listener told me that they reported a small pay rise, like less than £30 a month, and their universal credit dropped by more than that. It's like you're getting punished for actually working. And the wait time, it's normally 5 to 8 weeks delay to get the first payment when you sign up and you're just waiting for everything to come through. It's normally 5 to 8 weeks. Pretty certain it's 8 weeks though. And it can really be devastating. Can you imagine having no income for just over a month and still be expected to pay rent if you have to pay rent to feed a child, do your shopping, pay for bills, and actually just stay sane? And then let's not forget this whole advanced payment nonsense. They think they're doing you a favor, but they're actually not, because it's where you can borrow money from Universal Credit just to survive, but then they'll claw it back from you in chunks on future payments. So, for example, let's say if you're buying school uniform is a good subject actually. So let's say you're buying a school uniform, you've added it all up, it's about £200, 300. You apply for that through Universal Credit. I think they kind of like approve it. I've not actually done this, so I'm not too sure. So someone please correct me if I'm wrong on this process. They give you the 300 and then I think you say how much you want to take back from your future payments from them. So it could be like £20 a month, £30 a month to repay back the universal credit. It's meant to be some form of safety net, but it doesn't feel like that because then it's not like really your own money if you're having to borrow. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it. Like I've never ever had to pay universal credit until I fell pregnant. So when you're working, it's basically like depending on your workplace, you get 3 months full pay and then it drops down. And then I think it's after Yeah, I literally think it's literally after 6 weeks. Actually, I don't even know why I thought about it. Or after so many months. I think it's after so many weeks if you're in a workplace, then it drops down, and then after, I think it's after 14 weeks. I really can't remember. Goes down to S&P, and having universal credit and S&P was actually quite nice. It's a nice little top up, and then obviously having support as well kind of made things a lot easier. However, not too long ago I received my, well, I looked at my journal, my universal credit thing, and it showed my statement for April, saying that I was meant to get £65 for the month. £65 for what? I spend like between 20 to £30 on petrol alone. And then obviously I've got like bills to pay, shopping, nursery fees to pay, and I think £65 is just justifiable. So I looked at my earnings from my employer, and it was actually incorrect. So I made them aware of the change. So I actually rang them and spoke to them, and they was like, "So did you not get like 2 grand from work?" And I was like, "If I did, do you think I'd be claiming universal credit?" I obviously didn't get that. I told them what my wage was. They said it was going to be investigated. So they investigated it and came back and said that it was actually incorrect, and they did a recalculation of £75. So I said, will this be the amount that I will actually be getting into my account? And they said, yes, you'll be getting this before your payment date, and you'll get paid the 6th of each month from Universal Credit. Then I received a letter on my journal with a PDF saying that we owe you money, and apparently that their calculations were incorrect, and at some points I was overpaid, and at one point I was underpaid, and that they owe me money of £370. So I was like, okay, sweet. Here's me thinking 370, I'm a 675. I'm gonna be alright for April. Like I had plans, everything. A week passed, still didn't see my £675. I spoke to about 3 different people who said that you would definitely get this money. It's just a bit delayed. So I was like, alright, cool. It's been about a week or two, and there's no update on my £675 because they're now saying that because I was I was overpaid, I'm only meant to be getting the £370. And I was like, that's not what it said in the letter that you guys had sent me. And it's not my fault that um you're not getting the correct read, like the correct amount from my employer. That's between you and my employer. If I didn't ring and let you guys know that this was actually incorrect, you guys would have been none the wiser. I still ain't heard nothing back from them. So I'm just gonna wait for my next statement. From them, which should be the 2nd of May, to see what I'm going to get and see what amount it's going to be. Because if it's another we owe you, I will literally just go down to the office and be like, okay, I need to speak to someone because this is out of hand. But best believe if we were to owe them money, they'd make sure we'd give them the money. They just don't want to admit fault. And like my last message to them was on my journal was like the 7th of April. We're now, as I'm currently recording this, on the 20th of April. So it literally would have been, it's literally 2 weeks tomorrow. You know, meant to be helping and supporting, but you don't want to answer my questions. That's fine. You know, and this is, you literally feel like you get penalized for working. To get benefits, you're better off just not working. But people don't want to live like that. People want to work. So it's like a catch-22. Enough of my story. If you've had a universal credit horror story or even a win, message me. I want to hear it. This system needs transparency and sharing help. Okay, so we've talked about the money you get or don't. Now, let's talk about how to make it work, even when it barely does. So we're going to talk about living on a budget, or are we just surviving? So let's be real. Budgeting when your income is tight isn't just about being smart with money. It's about constant trade-offs. Do I top up the electricity or pay for my daughter's nursery fees? Can I buy fruit and a toilet roll this week? These are some of the things that you really even shouldn't have to question or even think about, but it gets mentally and emotionally exhausting. And it's not that people don't know how to budget. is that there's often nothing left to cut. We still do what we can, so some quick budgeting tips that might help. Meal prep magic. So cooking in batches can stretch your budget further. Free cycle and Vinted. This is actually perfect for baby gears and clothes. I actually have a Vinted account that I use and try and sell stuff on there. You can also use your local food banks, community hubs. There is literally no shame in asking for help. And apps like Snoop, which I've never heard of, or Emma, which I have heard of, can help track spending without making you cry. You can also use Monzo because you can put money in pots and stuff, which is what I do. It's actually quite helpful. It tells you how much you're spending, and it keeps you level, keeps you level. I will do like a separate episode on like Monzo banking and how to save. Please try and remember it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to rest. Remember, you're not failing, the system is. So let's take a breath and wrap things up with some final thoughts and a little bit of love. You made it to the end of the episode, and that's no small thing. We've covered a lot. Maternity pay that barely scratches the surface, a minimum wage that doesn't keep up with real life, and a benefit system that basically needs a real glow up. If you're juggling, or I doubt, parenting, work, benefits, and budgeting, you are a superhero in joggers, like seriously. I want to keep these conversations going because the more we speak up, the harder we are to ignore. So if you've got a story, a win, a event, or even a meme that captures the madness, share it with me at Shar's World Life Unfiltered, or use the hashtag Shar's World Life Unfiltered. I'll feature a few of your stories in next week's episode. And remember, just surviving is an achievement, and I see you. Thanks for hanging out with me. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you next time on Shah's World Life Unfiltered, where we turn pressure into power, one baby bottle and budget spreadsheet at a time. Thank you. Bye.